done. Now he will, as Abrams walked away and talked to the official. You know, I had it explained to me this week. They're supposed to stay up by the center when that occurs. A flag has been thrown. Oh, Utah called timeout. As he turned around, he called timeout. The official made no indication as if he would stop it.
Timeout, Utah.
So there's timeout, Utah, with 12:46 to play in the third quarter. Brigham Young ahead 49-7. Utah with the ball, 2nd and 10 on the Brigham Young 15-yard line. Start of the third quarter. Richmond, the quarterback, gives him a handoff, breaks one tackle, and is down at the 11-yard line. Abrams, the ball carrier, tackled by Norm Dixon for Brigham Young.
I wonder what Coach Jim Fossil said to his players in the locker room. What do you say to a team when you're down 49-7 at halftime? Whatever he said must have sunk in, because the Utes have come out and they're going much more aggressive on offense here in the first series. They look much more together and are executing much better here in the second half.
And they have a 3rd and 6 situation right now. Richmond back to throw, swings it over the right side. It's caught. Does he have some room? He's going to have to use his speed. No, he can't get outside. BYU had it pretty well covered. Darrell Hicks caught it. Tried to just set him loose on the outside, but Eric Bergeson and Tony Crutchfield came over, closed in on him, and stopped him. So Utah, are they going to send in the field goal unit?
I think they will. That was just, they tried to set up a little bit of a screen, but the Utah offensive lineman didn't get out there quick enough, and the BYU defense read it well. They actually lost yardage on that play.
So they have Wayne Lamley in to try the field goal. He tried one earlier in the game, and it was blocked. He'll be kicking a 29-yarder this time. 24-yarder make that, as the kick will come from the 14-yard line. 11:28 to go in the third period. The kick hit the goalpost and went through. It hit the goalpost and bounced through, so it is good. And Lamley has his, let's see, field goals. He is now 15 out of 20 on the season.
Let's take a look at this from behind the end zone, Jay. Look what happens. He hits kind of a knuckleball. It's going to hit the right upright, the left as we're looking at it, and kick in through the goalpost. So he gets it, and that's as close as you can come to missing it and still get a field goal, Jay.
Yep. He had 4 of them in the game last week. BYU built up a 49-0 lead in this game. Now Utah scored the last 10 points, and the BYU offense will get its hands on the football once again as Utah moved down from their own 20, and they get 3.
Has Stacy Corley had a chance to return a kick yet in this game? I don't think he has.
Nope.
You know, he returned 2 last week, and they've kicked the ball, and probably wisely, away from him today. And it's gone to Mortensen each time, if I remember correctly.
Well, Mortensen is back deep along with Corley. Mortensen is to the left as Utah kicks, and Corley to the kicker Lamley's right. But both are speedsters. If you had a foot race, that'd be a good race.
That'd be one of the, those are 2 of the fastest players on the team.
49-10, Brigham Young leading, 11:23 to play in the third period. Here's the kick, and they'll kick it back to Corley, but they'll kick it out of the end zone. Corley had to go back and get it right at the end of the end zone, so BYU will take over 1st and 10 at the 20, and that's one way to keep it away from him. Kick it over his head.
That's right, no return on that. There's a look at the Utes scoring drive. 9 plays, 64 yards, 3 minutes and 37 seconds. They used the rush very effectively that time to set up their passing game, and Richmond threw when he had to. It was a pretty impressive drive.
BYU 1st and 10 from the 20. Ty Detmer is back in. He's just about 10 yards short of another 300-yard passing game, which would tie a Jim McMahon record for consecutive games. There's the pass. There's the yardage. It's Chris Smith. He's out to the 45, up to the 49-yard line. So he went to the tight end, Chris Smith, and what better place to go?
Excellent ball handling in the backfield that time, Jay. They made a play-action fake, bootlegged out to the right. They had a lineman out in front of Detmer. This was just set up very well. You see him fake to Bellini here to hold those linebackers a little bit. Detmer comes out. He's got excellent protection, and when you fake that play-action, you've got the linebackers up short, and there's a big gap in between the linebackers and the secondary. Chris Smith roaming in that gap for a reception.
And defensively, you don't like to see that big guy with your DBs like that. That's Bellini. Bellini racked up at the line of scrimmage. Cougars ran pretty well early in the game, but Utah's stopped him fairly well as of late. James McKenna got Bellini that time. See, Bellini rushed in the first half for 59 yards.
Of course, he had that 33-yarder, and Matt Bellini had an excellent first half.
Gained about a yard on that one. Make it 2nd and 9 for BYU with the football just short of the 50-yard line. Ty Detmer over 300 yards again to tie a Jim McMahon record for consecutive games of over 300. Here's Detmer to pass, looking, floats it downfield. He's got his man, and that's Chris Smith again. And Smith is down at the 20-yard line for BYU. Tackled by Sean Knox. 1st and 10 Cougars on the Utah 20-yard line.
And take a look at the protection again for Ty Detmer. Those people up front are doing an excellent job. You see Ty Detmer stick his hand out on Mohamed El-Wanibi's back and say, okay, that's far enough, Mo. I'm back here. Lobs it out there. Chris Smith is so open that just about any throw in the area could have gotten to him, and makes the grab. Smith having a big game.
Blaney kind of had to go up on his tiptoes to see over El-Wanibi. Smith has 6 catches for 193 yards in this game. 1st and 10 BYU on the Utah 20. Detmer back to throw again. Throws it to Freddie Whittingham coming out of the backfield. Freddie inside the 10-yard line. That'll be another first down for Brigham Young. Tackled by Garland Harris, Utah's outstanding senior linebacker. 2nd team WAC last year, and the top returning tackler on this team from last year.
Whittingham just made a little delay. He comes up into the line of scrimmage, gets lost, and then delays over the middle. It gives time for those linebackers to get into their drops, and you see he catches the ball underneath the linebackers, makes a move, and gets the extra yardage. 1st
and goal for BYU just inside the 10-yard line. Cougars looking for another score. They've scored every possession in this game but one. That's Whittingham busting right up the middle to the 5-yard line. Full head of steam and zoom forward for 5. James McKenna tackled him. The only scoring drive BYU did not score on was the last one of the first half.
The BYU offensive line doing a nice job. I watched Brian May and the center Stevenson that time both threw excellent blocks to open up that hole for Fred Whittingham. You see May at guard and Stevenson at center. They open up that hole long enough for Fred Whittingham to squeeze through and get 5 yards.
2nd and goal at the 5-yard line for Brigham Young. Detmer again, the delayed handoff. He's going to score. That's Freddie Whittingham. Freddie Whittingham, and the delayed handoff slanted to the left side. That's his 3rd touchdown of the game and his 7th of the season. And Freddie having quite a contest. BYU ups the lead to 55-10. Garland Harris got him but couldn't pull him down in time.
And again, an excellent job. You see Robert Stevens decking his man. You got May doing a nice job. You got Bellini out in front blocking. The offensive front for BYU doing an outstanding job today.
Neil Ford helped close it off too.
Fred Whittingham with the old fake throw up into the stands.
That'd been good for 15 yards. Chaffetz has been perfect today. Chaffetz boots it through there. He's made 34 consecutive extra points this year. BYU has another TD and the Cougars lead 56-10. This is the Blue and White Sports Network. Earl Kaufman kicking off again for Brigham Young University. He's been a busy young man.
Ty Detmer now, Jay, 18 of 22 for 358 yards.
Here's Kaufman's kick. Drives it high and deep. Comes down about 5 yards into the end zone. No return by the University of Utah. Sean Knox was back that time for the Utes.
And also, Jay, that's the most points scored by this BYU team this year. Before this, they scored 49 against UTEP, so this is the most points they've scored. And there's a look at the scoring drive. 5 plays, 80 yards.
But it wasn't a pass.
No, 2 minutes and 41 seconds.
It was a 5-yard run.
It was a 5-yard run by Freddie Whittingham. And excellent blocking up front that entire drive.
1st and 10. Utah on their own 20-yard line. Mike Richmond, who's done very well as a sophomore, with not a lot of experience in this football game. Fakes thing. No, he gives on the handoff. Off to the left side, stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Delayed handoff to Clifton Smith. Good faking, but the Cougars were not fooled. They stop him. Got some paper airplanes floating onto the field every once in a while. And looks like flags. Attendance, 66,110, a new stadium record.
So we go back-to-back stadium records last week and this week, and the crowd has been very supportive and very vocal. Done a nice job for the Cougars.
Blaine, that means this is the largest crowd ever to witness a sporting event in the state of Utah.
That's correct.
2nd and 10, Utah, their own 20-yard line. Richmond changes the play. He drops straight back to throw. The rush is on. He gets the pass off. Is that caught? If it is, it's a great grab. It is. Fine day by Darrell Hicks. Down and outs, dove, and pulled it in just before he hit the turf. They have an official's timeout. Oh, there's a Utah player shaken up on the play. That's number 30, Clifton Smith. And they'll have to come out and check him.
And looks like he aggravated the same leg he was limping on last time. I'll tell you, Mike Richmond is doing a nice job for a young quarterback of seeing the blitzes. He saw BYU up on the line of scrimmage to blitz that time, audible to a route that was good for that blitz, got himself the protection and made the throw. So he's been impressive here recently in the last, well, the second part of the first half and now here in the third quarter.
What did he catch in the first half?
Hicks had six or 70 yards in the first half. So.
First down Utah on the Utah 32-yard line.
There's his stats now, 8 catches now.
Richmond running play straight ahead to Steve Abrams. Abrams has a couple. Stop by the middle of that BYU line. Running off the time in a hurry in the third quarter. Only 7.5 to go in the third period. BYU has a touchdown in quarter number 3 and Utah field goal. Rich Kafusi, the tackler.
That time, as you mentioned, Jay, just running by, I think because Utah running the ball a little bit more, and the clock doesn't stop, obviously, when you run. And when the teams have passed in this third quarter, they've made completions, and nobody's gotten out of bounds, so that clock's just continued to roll the entire third quarter here. 2nd and 7.
Richmond back to throw in second down. Here's the pass. He completes it. Completes it to the 40-yard line to Rowley. And Rowley adds 3 after he caught it. Down over the 40-yard line. Tackler Bob Davis for BYU. Utah has a player shaken up a little bit. Crutchfield. Tony Crutchfield shaken up on the play, but he's up walking around.
And that type BYU secondary a little out of position. Rowley was over there in the slot. Nobody came over to cover him. I saw Crutchfield yelling, hey, come over here and get on this guy. And at the last second, somebody ran over, but not before Brian Rowley ran an out route and was wide open. So
second down, or first down, Utah on their own 43-yard line. As they start a drive, they move downfield to start this period. Settled for a field goal. Richmond back to throw. Throws it over the middle. He's got a man there. Had a lot of Cougars around him. He's down to the BYU 30-yard line. Nice grab by Dennis Smith, the tight end. Surrounded by blue, but he caught the football. Tackled by Crutchfield.
And he's not a real tall, lanky tight end. He's small and compact at 6 foot, 223 pounds. But boy, can he run, and is he strong. He goes out there, runs around the linebackers and underneath the secondary, and has real good speed.
First team all WAC last year. Line of scrimmage is the 29-yard line. 1st and 10. Utah on the BYU 29. Now the crowd turns up the volume. Richmond uses his hands to signal a play. He's back to throw. Floats one down the sidelines. Almost intercepted. Good coverage that time by Brian Mitchell. He was right in front of Darrell Hicks. And I think Hicks reached in and maybe tipped the ball away from him.
You see what Brian Mitchell is doing, which is excellent. He's running with the receiver, and then as the receiver looks up for the ball, Mitchell turns and looks back to the quarterback just like he's the receiver. He's able to locate that football, and he's in as good a position as the receiver is to catch. In fact, probably better to catch that football. He's done an excellent job on deep balls this afternoon.
2nd and 10 for Utah on the BYU 29. Cougars add a defensive back. Arnold is in the game right now. The rush is on. Richmond throws quickly. And who gets it but Hicks at the 14-yard line. Darrell Hicks. Brian Mitchell covering. That play's been good to them today. It's another first down.
Whenever Utah's caught BYU in man-to-man covers in the secondary, they go to Hicks. What Hicks does is he goes down the field, pressures to the inside like he's going down the middle, and then breaks back to the outside toward the sideline. And he hasn't been wide open today, but Richmond's been able to put the ball, or Mike Richmond's been able to put the ball right on him. Hicks makes the grab every time.
First down Utah on the BYU 15-yard line. Cougars load up the line. Richmond back to throw. Davis is right on top of him as he throws it, and it's incomplete, and also a flag goes down. Mitchell was going for the ball, and it may be that Hicks reached out and grabbed him. Well, I'll tell you, Bob Davis came shooting through and was not touched, and Richmond had to throw it.
You'll take a look here on our replay what happens to the quarterback when he's got that kind of pressure. And they're going to call holding on BYU.
Holding on BYU.
Let's take a look at
on
Richmond.
Norm Dixon.
He drops back, and he's got a lot of courage because he knows Bob Davis is coming. And look at the hit he takes. And when you're a quarterback, you're very vulnerable to being hurt because you're open, you're throwing the ball, you're not braced to take a hit like that.
Well, that's a half the distance to the goal line penalty and automatic first down. So Utah will have the ball first and goal on the Brigham Young 8-yard line with 5.5 left to play in the third quarter. Brigham Young ahead 56-10. And listen to the crowd again, turning up the volume. Richmond. They fumble the football. Brigham Young's got it. On the handoff. Trying to hand it off to Steve Abrams, and the ball went bouncing free, and Eric Bergeson dropped on it, and BYU stopped him.
Looked like Norm Dixon, both Bergeson and Dixon jumped on the ball, but Dixon got up with it.
Okay.
And Utah, you see what happened there. The backside guard, the left guard, was pulling to get out in front of the play, and just as the quarterback was about to hand the ball off, the guard hit the quarterback and forced the fumble. Take a look at it. This is after the guard hits him. It forces him too deep, and they muff the handoff, and Utah really hurting themselves with turnovers. This is the second time they've been inside the 10-yard line and fumbled the football today.
BYU then first and 10 for the Cougars from their own 7-yard line. Ty Detmer, the quarterback. No, Sean Covey, the quarterback. Tommy Tuipulotu runs it up the middle to the 12-yard line. So BYU brings Covey in at quarterback, and Tuipulotu is in at fullback. Tuipulotu, a sophomore and a very good runner.
It looks like they've left their up front people, their starting offensive line, the #1 group in the game, and they're giving the #2 backs a chance to work with that #1 offensive line. They've got the #2 backs and the quarterback and receivers in the game now.
So Covey, a veteran quarterback, is in there. It's a pitch back to Corley. Corley goes wide to the outside, bumps into one of his own men. He's not down yet. Now they gang up on him at the 9-yard line, so they'll lose some yardage on that one. 4:45 left in the third period. BYU had just stopped Utah, recovering a fumble. The third time that's happened in the game. Frank Bonifacio, the tackler. And the Cougars run 2 plays, and they face 3rd down and 8. Coming out wide to the left is Nahi Valdez. To the right, it's Matsuzaki. So Covey needs 8 yards, or they'll have to punt it. He's going to throw for it. Good protection. Looking. Here's the pass. Complete. And it'll be enough for the first down, I do believe. Completed over the middle to tight end Matt Zundel, who's a sophomore from Illinois. And BYU does get the first down.
Zundel did a nice job of bringing that in heavy traffic. Ty Detmer elected to go to Zundel, who is sitting right in the center of the middle zone for Utah, and looking right back at Sean Covey. Covey throws the ball in there, and watch this catch. He's got people. It's just off our screen. He had a man right under him at his feet, and several defenders right around him.
Zundel, 6'5", 230 sophomore. First and 10 BYU at their own 19-yard line. Running play, Stacy Corley opening into the secondary, spins away. Here he goes. He's down to the 40. It's a foot race. He's to midfield. He's to the 40. He's to the 30. And he cuts back inside. He's going to go all the way. Stacy Corley made a fine move at the 20-yard line, cut back inside, and took it into the end zone for a touchdown. And that would be, what, an 81-yard touchdown run by Stacy Corley. And they're mobbing him in the end zone right now. And there's also a BYU player hurt at the 35-yard line. It's Nahi Valdez, the Cougars' fine little freshman receiver.
And Stacy Corley has been Mr. Excitement for the Cougars the last couple of weeks. You see Neil Ford out in front on the pull, and Corley goes through the hole and breaks it back to the left, makes a spin move. And Nahi Valdez out in front blocking, providing a screen for Corley. And what scores a touchdown, they've got the angle on him. He makes this little cutback inside that gets him the touchdown. An exciting run, and that first spin move up just off the line of scrimmage got him out into the open, and then the cutback move gets him into the end zone.
It's his 6th running touchdown of the year. Nahi Valdez is being helped to his feet now, and they're favoring his left leg as they take him off the field.
And that's the longest run from scrimmage for BYU this year. The best up to this point was 54 yards by Eric Mortensen against UTEP. So Stacy Corley, we've got the longest pass play of the year and the longest rushing play of the year here in this game today.
It's 62-10. Brigham Young University leading. Corley, the key to BYU's big win last week over the Air Force Academy with a 99-yard kickoff return and an 85-yard kickoff return. And now he just goes 81 from the line of scrimmage. And here is Jason Chaffetz, who's made 35 consecutive extra points this year, and he'll try to do it again. 3:27 to play in the third period. Here's the kick. It's good. Run once again by Chaffetz. So BYU has the lead in the football game now by a score of 63-10 with 3:27 to play in the third period. BYU to kick off, back deep for Utah. Number 22 is Levon Edwards. Very, very good return man, only a sophomore. Kaufman kicks for the Cougars. Line drives this one, bounces. No, it does not bounce. It goes out of bounds before it gets to the 12-yard line. You know what? We've got a moment. The health department of Brigham Young University, a lot of these athletes, in fact, are participating in it. They have a program called YB Fit. There's the last scoring drive. 2 minutes, 3 seconds to go down. YB Fit is a wellness program for faculty, staff, and students. They check your physical fitness, your nutritional assessment, psychological, blood analysis, health recommendations. You can sign up at this YB Fit office at 118 the Richards Building. You can get cost and information. An individual can participate in the entire health and fitness screening program or choose a particular one just for you. That's the health department of Brigham Young University, room 118 at the Richards Building. YB Fit? It's a good question, Blaine. Of course, Blaine's fit. He can go out and run 20 miles right now.
And die.
Kaufman kicks off 5 yards back, drives this one 8 yards into the end zone and out of bounds.
We've seen Kaufman do that over and over again this year. If he ever hooks the ball and kicks it out of bounds, they move him back to the 30. That just pumps him up a little bit more, and he still can kick it out of the end zone.
You know, Blaine, I think Kaufman's a good example. Well, first check this. Look at the update.
You can see the statistics there. BYU piling up the rushing yardage now. 19 of 24 for 368 yards in the passing department, but now 26 rushes for 225 yards. That's quite a rushing average.
Kaufman's a good example of an athlete who gets his confidence because he's just getting better game by game with his kicking. 1st and 10, Utah from their own 20-yard line. Richmond back to throw on first down. Little lob to the left side. It's caught there. Breaks by one tackler and gets over the 30 all the way to the 36-yard line. Nice run that time by Steve Abrams for the University of Utah. Remember again, Utah moved the ball downfield. They were threatening to score, and they fumbled it away, and BYU turns it into a TD.
And there you see the official signaling that at the end of that run, a Cougar grabbed a hold of the face mask.
We have a 5-yard face mask penalty against the defense during the run. 5 yards, first down.
And you hear there's the inadvertent face mask type, and so they're going to get a 5-yard penalty.
Eric Bergeson, the tackler for Brigham Young. The Utes with the ball, 1st and 10 at their own 42-yard line. Brigham Young leading 63-10 with 3:11 to play in the third quarter.
There's the penalty situation. Utah 6 for 59, and BYU, who was behind in the penalty situation, now leading in that category as well.
Delayed handoff. There's no place to go for Steve Abrams. He wanted to slash off to the left side, but he had bodies there in red and in blue, and he just couldn't get up over them. Next week, Brigham Young University, a night game in San Diego with San Diego State, live in this area on Channel 5. The University of Utah will be at home next week against the Air Force Academy. We don't know if Scott Mitchell will be able to play in that game next week or not. Today, some of the people connected with Utah told us it's doubtful he can play next week. 2nd and 9. Here's Richmond to throw. It's not open. He's going to have to run it. He turned to throw, and it's like there was no one out where he wanted to throw it. So then he had to run it up the middle, and Eddie Green is in there defensively now for BYU. Wrapped him up right at the line of scrimmage.
It looked as if he wanted to go quickly out to Hicks out on the right side. You see him take a look here and go to throw it out, but Norm Dixon is right in his throwing lane, and he has nowhere to go with the ball, and so he elects to turn it up and run. But Eddie Green making the tackle. Eddie Green, he's 6'3", 290 pounds, but very quick defensive line.
3rd down, the Cougars with extra defensive backs in now. 3rd and 10 for Utah. Richmond going to throw for a first down. Throws it over the middle, and it'll be close to the first down. Just across the 50-yard line. See where they mark it down. He may have it. Very, very close. The pass complete to Anglesey, and Norm Dixon tackled him. Utah has a good passing scheme. they've been able to move the ball once Richmond kind of settled down a little bit, got over his nervousness. He's done quite well. 1:40 to play in the third period, and here come the chain gang. We'll see if it's a first down. I think it will be. And they stretch it out. And once again, I'm wrong.
You're not usually wrong, though, Jay. You usually have a pretty good eye. But you were off by about 3 inches that time.
So Utah will have the ball at midfield. Richmond 9 of 11 in the second half. Utah, fourth down, inches to go for a first down at midfield. It's just over the 50-yard line into BYU territory. Richmond goes for it himself, kind of backs forward. The BYU players say he didn't make it, but I believe he did.
I think he did, and you can bet he had both hands on the football that time.
Yeah. They were going for short yardage on the 1-yard line. First and goal on the 1 and fumbled it away.
They've given
early
it up,
in the game.
They've given it up twice inside the 10-yard line.
It's a first down. Let's see, what was the report from the sideline?
First down.
Nahi Valdez injury. He's out for the game.
In fact, I just saw him ride up the ramp and into the locker room on a golf cart. So we need to take another look at what is wrong with Nahi Valdez's leg.
Here's Richmond. Richmond throws. There's that diving catch at the 42-yard line. This time by Steve Abrams, a gain of 4. Clock moving along with 1:04 to play in the football contest. 63-10, Brigham Young. We have 17 BYU seniors who are playing in their final home game here today. And the way the score of this particular game, Blaine, it's very, very possible that maybe all 17 of them will not play anymore in this game. Second down and 6 for Utah on the BYU 43-yard line. Richmond pitches it out to Anglesey. Turns that left corner. He's still on his feet. Pushed out of bounds down in front of the BYU bench around the 27-yard line. Anglesey is the junior from Salt Lake City. 219-pounder.
There you see some of the stats concerning this rivalry. 1942 was the first time BYU won, and they met in 1922, so it was 20 years before they won their first one, then a long dry spell before they won their second one, and then again the third. But in recent years, it's been a different story.
First down, Utah. Richmond to throw. Throws incomplete this time. Rowley coming back to get the ball. Even if he'd have caught that, he was out of bounds. Alima Fatisimano hit Richmond as he threw the football. 28 seconds left to go.
And hit is an understatement, Jay, because he basically took Richmond's head off that time. He was coming full speed, and I was surprised to see Mike Richmond get up. So he must be a tough kid, because Alima Fatisimano can really put a hit on you.
28 seconds left in the third quarter. A big balloon, hot air balloon, is floating right over the stadium right now. Running play coming to the right side. Anglesey has to cut back into the middle and is knocked off his feet at the 21-yard line. And that reminds me of the Utah game a few years ago before the stadium expansion, when a hot air balloon came over the stands and landed on the goalpost and bent the goalpost out of shape. Were you hear that?
I wasn't here then.
He shook everybody up. It's lucky somebody didn't get hurt. Eddie Green, the tackler for BYU. Was it Steve Abrams?
Yeah, Steve Abrams was the one that ran that one.
Okay, Steve Abrams is the ball carrier. That ends the third quarter of the football game as Brigham Young University leads the University of Utah after 3 quarters of play. It's BYU 63, Utah 10. This is the Blue and White Sports Network. Jay Bonson and Blaine Fowler from Provo, Utah. That's Scott Mitchell you were seeing, Utah's All-American quarterback who did not play today because of an injury. Richmond with pressure. Here's his pass, and it is caught. Caught at the 3-yard line by Rowley for the University of Utah. And he made a good grab against Irvin Lee for BYU, so Utah is threatening to score again. Hey, Detmer for BYU passed for 358 yards today. Probably will not play anymore in this game. But if next week he does the same thing, he would break the record held by Jim McMahon for total passing yardage. And the opponent next week, Blaine, San Diego State, and they're playing Miami today.
They don't have a breather. They'll have a tune-up to go against a great passing game, but you can bet that physically that will be a tough game for them today, and they'll have to come off of that and get up for BYU, who I know will be ready to play next week.
First and goal from the 3-yard line. No gain on the first down. Steve Abrams, the ball carrier. Byron Beatty made the hit. BYU's been using the second unit much of the second half, and that is the second unit defense that's in there right now for the Cougars. Players like Fatisi Manu and Beatty as linebackers. Eddie Green's in. Mark Smith's in. Dave Porter, Shad Hansen, Dave Henderson, Irvin Lee, Josh Arnold, Derwin Gray in there. Many of those players play on the first unit in certain circumstances too.
There you take a look at Richmond's stats. Not a bad day. 22 of 34 for 317 yards. It hasn't been the offense's fault, although they've had turnovers, but the defense not able to stop BYU at all.
Second and goal is going to throw for it. Throws into the end zone. Incomplete. Arnold covering on the play against the tight end, Dennis Smith. The reason the pass was not successful, however, was the pressure up front on Richmond.
Richmond couldn't set his feet and throw. He had to scramble up into the pocket and let the ball go. The last two times he's dropped back, this BYU defense has put good pressure on him. You see a man falling right at his legs as he let go of that ball, so he couldn't stride ahead and plant and throw the football like he'd like to.
So it's third and goal for the University of Utah on the Brigham Young 3-yard line. The Cougars way out in front, 63-10.
And there you see number 80, the man they go to in this situation a lot.
Here's Richmond looking and throwing for the touchdown. Coming in motion that time and going into the secondary and grabbing it was Darrell Hicks, covered by Irvin Lee. But Darrell Hicks has had such a super game, he was deserving of that TD. Nice play by Utah.
Darrell Hicks has been one of the very bright spots on the Utah team today. He's had an excellent game, and Richmond's just going to roll out. And as you mentioned, Hicks came in motion, had a head start on the secondary, and got going real quick toward the end zone. Hicks now 10 catches for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just a great game for Hicks.
It's 63-16. Brigham Young on top, as Wayne Lamley will try to kick the extra point. He's perfect so far this season. 25 out of 25. Here's the kick. It's good by Lamley. Lamley, the junior from Salt Lake City, makes it. And with 13:43 to go in the football game, BYU leads 63-17. This is the Blue and White Sports Network. Here's Utah kicking off to Brigham Young University. The kick will come back this time to Stacy Corley. Listen to the crowd. 10-15. 20 knocked off his feet at the 20-yard line. Good open field tackle that time by the University of Utah's Steve Siglock.
A very nice drive engineered by the quarterback Mike Richmond. 12 plays, 80 yards, 3 minutes and 44 seconds. And the Utes have looked sharp on offense here in the second half.
Now, unofficially, Blaine, what's this figure you've written down here?
Well, I was just told that Ty Detmer, if you add in this game, which was an outstanding game for passing efficiency, that he would, to this point in the season, have a passing efficiency rating of 175, which is almost amazing.
Fantastic. First and 10, BYU from the 20. Covey is the quarterback. Covey gives on a running play. That's Mortensen trying to get outside. He can't. He's thrown for a loss back to the 16-yard line. So Mortensen making the hit, led by Bob Bonifacio. See what the Cougars have now. They have the second unit. Let's see, all along the line, I believe.
Looks like they've got some of the younger players in there to get some experience now. Mortensen trying to get to the outside, but the Ute pursuit with Bob Bonifacio leading the charge gets to him.
Second unit offensive line is in there for BYU. Covey rolling to his left, looking downfield to throw it. He's going to run it. He's up to the 20, puts his head down and charges forward to the 23-yard line. Sean Covey gains back the yardage they lost and a couple more. Brigham Young will face third down and around 8. Sean Knox made the hit on Covey.
And watch Sean Covey on this one, Jay, because this is not what your normal quarterback does. He comes out here and he's running, and I'm expecting any time, okay, when's he going to slide? When's he going to slide? He never does. He puts his head down and gets smacked there pretty good.
Third down, Brigham Young, and 7 from their own 23-yard line. Covey looking things over. Drops back to throw. Good protection. Does throw. Completes it. But it won't be enough for the first down. Now that it's a free football. Did BYU turn it over? They did. So the pass was completed and fumbled away. And Utah will come up with the ball. The catch, was it Zundel who got it? Yeah, Matt Zundel, the tight end, but he fumbled it, and Utah gets it.
It looks like Pat Kennedy, number 21 for the Utes, recovered. Covey just coming out, hitting Zundel in the seam of the zone. Or that's Mortensen.
Oh, yeah, it's Mortensen.
Eric Mortensen, and he can't find the handle as he turns to try to get the ball up. And sure enough, Pat Kennedy, number 21, hops on the ball for the Utes.
63-17, Brigham Young with 12 minutes to play in the football game. And Utah has another scoring opportunity here. 1st and 10 on the BYU 27-yard line following the first Cougar turnover of the game. Richmond is hit as he throws the football, tipped and incomplete. Arnold went high for the ball. There were 2 other BYU players also covering Roley. Good coverage by Brigham Young.
What a job of pressuring the passer by Byron Beatty that time. He came in, he jumped up in the air and got his feet cut out from under him, did a somersault, hopped right back up to his feet, and jumped on the back of the quarterback, Mike Richmond.
Beatty for BYU, you're talking about, it's only a sophomore from Hawaii, missed last year, but he's a real comer. They look to him in the future to be a star. 2nd and 10 for BYU, or for Utah from the BYU 27. It's a pitchback to Anglesey, forced out of bounds by Fatisi Manu, and there's another comer for BYU. Fatisi Manu, a great special teams player, backing up Chad Robinson. He's a junior from American Samoa.
Get a chance to take a look at a lot of the younger players. You can see just to pitch the ball out, Steve Abrams around the right end, and Dennis Smith trying to block on Fatisi Manu, but Fatisi Manu will have nothing to do with that. He shrugs Dennis Smith right off and makes the hit.
3rd down for Utah, still on the BYU 27-yard line, so it's 3rd and 10. Richmond for the University of Utah, the Ute quarterback. He's back to throw, has some pressure, throws it over the middle, touchdown. Once again to Darrell Hicks, who's been burning BYU today. Irvin Lee covering on the play, but Hicks has another touchdown grab, and Utah has 6 more points to make it 63-23, Brigham Young.
And that time, Utah did a nice job picking up the blitz. You saw Fatisi Manu coming on a blitz from his linebacker position, and Steve Abrams stepped up, picked him up, gave the quarterback time to throw, and they had man-to-man coverage in the secondary with no help on Hicks. And Hicks having an outstanding day, as you mentioned, Jay. Another touchdown catch. That brings his total to 3.
You know, we don't know a lot about him. He's not in the press guide. 5'11", 148-pound junior. He certainly performed exceptionally well in this game. Lamley to try the extra point, and Lamley makes it again. He's 27 out of 27 on the season. So Utah with a couple of quick scores here in the 4th period. 11:52 to play. It's 63-24, Brigham Young. BYU and Utah. Utah to kick off to BYU. And here's the kick. This will go into the end zone. Corley will take it there. They will not run it out, and the Cougars will take over. 1st and 10 of their own 20.
Jay, I just was handed a very interesting statistic, almost an amazing thing. Ty Detmer, you know, we mentioned that he had a great passing efficiency rating up to this point, and in the season he's 175.5. Now Jim McMahon holds the record at 176.9, so he's close to that. But for today's game, Ty Detmer's passing efficiency 278.5.
Well, he was 14 or so points ahead of Ware for 2nd place. He's going to double that lead. 1st and 10, BYU from their own 20. Sean Covey at quarterback. Delayed handoff to Tui Pelotu. Met at the line of scrimmage and dropped at that point. So the Cougars will face 2nd and 10. BYU be very happy right now to just run some time off that clock, get this over with.
Hicks, by the way, Jay, at this point in the game, 11 receptions, 125 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Well, Utah's stats pretty much what they usually do in the game. 2nd and 10, Cougars got a half yard on the last play. Sean Covey, the Cougars senior quarterback, the starter last year, going to pass on 2nd down, throws it. Was that caught or not? We've got to wait and see. If so, it's a great grab. No, an official in the back says it was not. One standing in the front says it was. Kirk Holly caught the ball, but the official says he trapped it. It's an incomplete pass.
Let's take a look at it and see if we can see what the official from the backside saw. Covey throws it out, and Kirk Holly trying to get his hands underneath it.
Can't really tell from that angle. Let's try this one. Well, I don't know. That was pretty close to a catch.
Yeah, that was definitely a judgment call.
Second down. Covey to throw again. Right over the middle. It's caught. Out to the 25. And knocked off his feet at the 27-yard line. It was Eric Mortensen. Looked like maybe he's going to get the first down, but a nice open field tackle stopped him short of it. And BYU will send in the punting unit. 10:50 left to play in this football game. Bob Bonifacio tackled Mortensen. And here's Kaufman back to kick from the 11-yard line.
And it's a good thing that he made that tackle, because there was a lot of room to run after that one man.
Here's the kick. Fair catch. The signal taken at the 40-yard line. So the University of Utah will take over 1st and 10 on their own 40-yard line as we try to play out the string right here.
That punt only going 33 yards, Jay, and was such a short punt that it caused the receiving man to fair catch that ball.
Other games being played in the WAC today. See, San Diego State's at Miami. Air Force and Hawaii have the day off. Wyoming playing UTEP at home. And New Mexico's playing at home against Fresno State. 1st and 10 Utah from the 40. Richmond will throw. Does throw. Completes it. He breaks a tackle and is across the 50 into BYU territory to the Cougar 47-yard line. That's a first down. Pass completion to Dennis Smith, the tight end. Randy Slayton made the hit for the Cougars, a sophomore from Austin, Texas. BYU with most of the regulars on the sidelines now, resting and waiting for San Diego State next week.
You see Dennis Smith just sitting under the zone. Mike Richmond throws the ball well, Jay.
He's back to throw again. Throws for the sidelines. Juggled and incomplete. He threw the ball before Abrams looked back, and when Abrams looked up, it was there. He put a hand up and almost caught it one-handed. Covering was Fatisi Manu for BYU.
We had a sideline report, Jay, that Tony Crutchfield, the defensive back for the Cougars, has left the game with a concussion. We hope he's all right. As you mentioned, Jay, he kind of threw that before Abrams made his break, and then it was just a little bit off the mark, and Abrams didn't have time to react to the football.
2nd and 10 for Utah on the Brigham Young 47. Richmond, that's the draw, delayed handoff, and it turns out to be a big gainer all the way to the BYU 33-yard line. Carrying it was Steve Abrams, and Derwin Gray and Fatisi Manu for BYU tackle him. So Utah on the move again.
And BYU out there really thinking pass right now. They're in a kind of a prevent defense to try to contain Utah from passing the ball too much, and this kind of play is going to work for them, the draw play, and obviously does that time. Steve Abrams getting good yardage.
So Utah has a first down on the BYU 33-yard line. BYU or Utah coaching staff. Coach Jim Fossil right in the middle, his 5th year coaching at Utah. It's a pitch. It's a reverse. It's Hicks. He's around the outside to the 30, out of bounds at the 26-yard line. So they ran the reverse with Darrell Hicks, who could be the Utah player of the game. Derwin Gray